Welcome to Lightworker School Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Gazelle, and this series is all about helping you transition from your day job into your path as a healer, because the time is now. I know you're hearing a call to rise up out of the ordinary. So if you're ready to make your life reflect how you feel on the inside, this podcast is going to show you how. And if you're in the corporate world, well, you're definitely in the right place. So stay tuned. I have so much wisdom to share with you. Hello, and welcome back to Heal with the Angels. I'm Tracy, and I'm here today with Rachel Chamness. So Rachel is a liquid Reiki sound healer, lightworker coach, channel medium, and spiritual teacher and counselor, and she helps you discover your soul's authentic light path and create flow and alignment with your highest self. She's a channel and trance medium, and she brings through many high vibrational beings who can reveal your unique gifts for helping yourself and others in this life. Among these are angels, ascended masters, elemental beings, high vibrational galactic friends, and more. She helps connect her clients with mystical beings, galactic beings, spirit guides, and angels who stand beside us as guides and helpers, but vibrate at a higher frequency. Once attuned to their energy, you can learn to receive messages from them for yourself. She has a VIP group, the Transformation and Ascension Group, or TAG, or TAG. It's a great way to expand your spirituality, prepare for ascension, and connect to higher realms for everyday guidance. She was a professional opera singer, and now she uses her trained voice and musical instruments as tools to provide spirit-guided liquid Reiki sound healings. She's able to channel songs, energy healing, and messages to advance you on your light path. And she's also a co-facilitator of Lightworkers Live podcast with 3 other mediums. So welcome, Rachel. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
I love your bio. It sounds like you do so many diverse different things, and I'd love to hear all about it. So let's get started with, how did it all start with you? Like, as a child, did you know that you could do these things?
As a child, I really struggled with all the things that I could see and hear and know. And I have a large family. I have 5 brothers and a sister, and they weren't all that kind to me about it. And I was teased a lot about it, and they were embarrassed about me, and that I would say I was psychic. My mom was like horrified. She sent me to a psychiatrist.
Oh my God.
The psychiatrist was like, I think you're psychic. Everything you just said is true.
Were you pretty young then?
I was about 8 or 9. And so then I decided to turn it off. I just wanted it to stop. I felt it was very scary to see beings or, dead people standing next to my bed. So I turned off my clairvoyance and forgot about it. I probably turned off everything but clairempathy and claircognizance, because those weren't threatening to me. I didn't even realize I had them. I just thought it was intuition. So I went to school for voice. I became an opera singer. I sang for 20 years. I sang opera around in America, and also in Europe and South America. And it was beautiful. I love opera and I love singing. I have I trained my voice since I was 14, but it was also very, very stressful for me. And I was never happy with it. It was never good enough. It was never enough. It was never right. I just felt really conflicted, and I always wanted to fix it. So people would say, oh, Rachel, she's amazing. Where did you find the singer, to my agent, but not always hire me. And so it just wasn't as successful as it could have been, I felt. So I felt I had these blocks. I needed to get through my blocks. So I did a lot of spiritual counseling with other spiritual counselors. For the whole time, for years and years, I worked on everything I did. I learned so much, modalities, everything, but just because I wanted to heal myself, because I knew if I could just get through my blocks, I knew I was supposed to sing for a living. I knew that was what it was supposed to be. And plus I had really, deeply committed to it financially. So I wanted to do it. And I loved singing on stage, but part of what I loved on stage is I always felt that I was a healer. And I felt that, when you understand basic sound healing principles, you know that certain notes clear your chakras and open you up to your higher self and things like that. So I always knew that the singing was healing the audience, whether they realized it or not. And I always loved that part of it. But eventually it just became almost impossible. I had a child. I couldn't travel. It became non-existent, and I was just desperate to get it back and desperate to let go of it. I really wanted to let go. I didn't want it anymore. It was so much pain. It was so much, it just felt always, no matter how much success it was failure. It was never good enough. And it was horrible. And I wanted to stay home with my child and my husband. I didn't want to travel anymore all the time. But I just couldn't let it go. I just felt like it was meant to be. And how is it going to come back? It's almost impossible to make a comeback. And what happened was, I have always just been really interested in mediums, and I was always looking for a good medium to talk to. I had moved, so I didn't know anyone, and my friend told me, oh, I found this great medium. You should talk to her. She lives in Ireland. So I did. I had this Zoom session with her, and then it was great. It was amazing. And then I had another one like 3 months later. She wouldn't let me do it except for every 3 months. Second one was fantastic. I talked to my dad. It was for crystal healing. I mean, definitely she was, an amazing medium. So then I had the third one. There was nothing pressing. So I said, just tell me what I need to know. So she brought in my uncle, which I was really surprised about. And he said to me, this is what you're supposed to do. You are a medium. And I was like, that can't be a thing. I'm not a medium. Can't see things. I don't talk to dead people. Like that's what I thought a medium was, talking to dead people. I was like, I don't think that's what I can do, because that's what she was doing. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people have that idea that mediums just talk to dead people. Mm-hmm. But mediums are just they're channeling, they're channels. We take messages, bring them forward. So the medium said, well, I've wanted to tell you this all this time. She said, this is what you have to do. You need to go to our mutual friend and take lessons from her. I'm sure she'll teach you. So I did. I went to her and I said, could you teach me? She's a healer. And she said, yes. So she started teaching me these classes. Like, she just made them up, like whatever she thought. Let's see what you can do. So first I was like, maybe I could be a pet psychic. That's a little less weird. So I tried that. That wasn't for me. So I would go to her every 2 weeks. We'd spend a few hours together and try something new. And it turned out that, I was pretty good at things. And then she said, oh, this woman's coming. She's going to teach a channeling class. And I was like, okay. I just felt like I should take it. So I took it. And it was amazing. Changed my whole life, because I found that trancing, which means like the channeling where the being steps into you and speaks or sings or heals, use your hands for healing, was a game changer. Because I was thinking one day I could be a sound healer when I learn all the principles, maybe when I'm 65. I kind of looked at it like being an opera singer. And they were like, no, you can do this right now. All you have to do is channel us, and we do it. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. So I started doing it, and then I took Reiki, and then I wanted to do it. It got better once I did Reiki. And then I was like, I want to do it distance. So they said, oh, you should take Reiki too. I was like, okay. So I took Reiki too. Then it got way better. I started doing distance, and all the stuff started happening. Started putting it all together. Light language. I took a light language class. Mm-hmm. So my liquid Reiki is a mixture of, I'm a master teacher Reiki. I channel light language, and I teach all these things too. And the transmuting. So all those together, plus my knowledge of sound healing, makes the liquid Reiki sound healing. So I do sessions where I work on people from distance, record them, and then I get tons of messages, do some channeling, send it all to them in a Dropbox link. Or I also do spiritual counseling, because I know a lot of spiritual counseling, since you know my story. And also it's mainly channeling. So what I find really interesting about what I do is that I felt like I was already going down that road of like, I'll never know enough. It'll never be enough. And then my spirit guide stepped in and said, no, we can do it for you. You can, or, it's the client's spirit guides too. So that's really cool. And so I learn things every month. Every month I bring in these beings that might be like a certain type of galactical being, like Blue Avian, might be goddesses of light, might be elves. Next month is elves, or whales, or because they're elementals too. So lots of elementals and galactical guides right now are the focus, and they come in, they help us in so many ways. I channel, this is for my tag group, but also sell it separately later. They talk to us. So I do a trans channel 13 question video. It's a masterclass. We ask them, how are you going to help us? What are you here for? What can we call on you for? What are you going to give us? And then they answer. And then the next week I do a attunement video, which is me singing and using instruments, sound healing. Ooh, I got an echo. Well, anyway, sound healing video, attunement, and that attunes you to the being so that you can talk to them. And then the next week they give me a manifesting symbol for manifesting, whatever, because they usually bring in a theme of what they're helping us with. And then the next week I do a guided meditation that I channel, and it's usually for healing. And then I do lives and other stuff, and you get all the past months, so my tag's a great deal.
Yeah. Well, that's such an interesting story, and I love that, like, you thought being an opera singer was for you, and it sounds like you were going at it so hard that you were really going in resistance to it, right? Like you really felt like it was supposed to work and you just kept pushing and pushing, but it sounds like maybe it was preparation for you to step into what you're doing now. And
I think so.
Yeah, it's so interesting. But if we take it all the way back to like when you were said you were a kid and everyone was calling you weird and like your siblings didn't understand and your parents didn't understand, like that is such a common story for, I think, a lot of us. I know myself as well, where it all starts is you feel like the black sheep. You feel like nobody understands you. I felt super weird. When everything started opening up for me, I felt so weird and that I couldn't tell anybody because no one would understand. My family, my husband, my friends, and I just kept it inside. Meanwhile, I'm having these epic sessions all by myself at like 5 a.m. with my journal, like meditating and like talking about all kinds of different stuff and being like, oh my God, feeling like I had no one to talk to about it. And it's hard. It's a hard place to be in, to feel very lonely and feel like you don't have anyone to confide in. And I think that's why the internet is so amazing, because we can meet like this and we can share these podcasts like you have and watch videos and realize like we're not alone in the world. Like we're all spattered throughout the world. Like, why do you think, like I've heard some interesting theories of like why light workers are spattered and we're not all clustered in one place. Like, what's your theory on why we're all spread out and we have to find each other?
Well, I think that, everyone watching this is a light worker. Like people are being drawn, like I said, I was fascinated with mediums. I didn't realize I was one. And so I think, we're here to be teachers, to attract like-minded people and help them find their path. That's really what I do the most, is help people find their path into light working. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing, it can be the way that you help people with your own modality in your profession. You don't have to be doing all this,
Totally. We all put a unique spin on it, right? Yeah.
Yes, I really think everyone has their own modality. I really find that, and I really discovered that with Reiki. It's like once I did Reiki and I learned how to wield the Reiki ray of healing and light, it showed me how to use my own. It's like my own, the liquid Reiki sound healing, whatever, it's like what I call it, whatever it is that makes that all those things come together, so I teach this to other people, but they always do it a little bit differently. Yeah. And they have their own spin on it. But, some people are all like divine love conduit came through for one of my light path readings recently. It's like everyone has this thing they're supposed to do.
That even feels good to hear. Divine love conduit. I was like, oh.
Yeah, right? I got that for her and I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's what you are.
Yeah. Well, I've heard a neat analogy for light workers that we are like the lantern bearers, which is like a light shower. And that if we were all collected in one awesome city, or like on an island, and we all lived together, it would be the most amazing place ever. But the rest of the world would suffer because we would not probably want to leave and like go hang out with muggles, right? And so
I always say that.
Yeah, I love it. So I think we're scattered all around the world so that we can shine the light for others. And that's really what it's all about, is helping others see their light, and that we're all in this together, and that you're not weird, you're not alone. So if people watching this are in that beginning stage of feeling alone and weird and wondering what's happening to them, and at the very beginning, like, you're not alone, and you just have to find your tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many tribes out there. It's so awesome. And they're all unique and amazing in their own way.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just, you know, exposing yourself, like in something like this is great because you can see whose vibe really appeals to you. And you know,
and that we're all normal people too, right? Like, to become a psychic, a medium, a light worker, whatever, you know, word you want to use, we're all regular people. A lot of us didn't come from families of psychics. Like, you know, like some other people, like famous people, they were brought that way through generation by generation and trained as a young child. And a lot of us were not, and we just stepped into this, right? So
I didn't even know. I was 44, by the way. I had no idea.
Yeah. Nice.
And through the VIP, I came across so many people who asked me, how do I turn my clairs back on? Mm-hmm. So I made a meditation for them and opened up my own. I had forgotten that I had closed my clairvoyance, and now it's probably my second strongest clair. I had totally forgotten that I'd turned it off, and now it's back on. And I was doing it for someone else, but then it worked for me. That's kind of how it works for me. We all do it together, and I'm always like, ooh, I had no idea.
Just inadvertently heal yourself.
Yes.
That's awesome. So what about angels? Like, where did the angel interactions start for you?
Okay, well, this is exactly what happened. So after I decided this is what I'm going to do, I met a friend. Okay, so what I did was I first started just bartering with other light workers, because I was like, let's see what I can do so I know how to tell people what I do. So I started bartering with light workers who were kind enough to barter with me. And two that I started with, one of them said, hey, let's do a thing together on Facebook. I was like, okay. So we did, and we did angels. We brought forth angels. And what happened was crazy. So what happened was someone asked me a question, and I channeled Metatron, and it was so wild that it actually, the video went out and all this crazy stuff happened. And then she channeled some other archangel. And the next day we were like, oh, I feel horrible. What's wrong with me? So for 2 days, it took so much energy to do it the first time that for 2 days we were totally just done. And then after that, we were fine. We thought, this is really interesting. And then we both said, you know what I've been seeing a lot around is unicorns. Do you think unicorns are like a real thing? And we just started thinking, I think they are. And so we just said, okay, let's go figure this out. So we did. We put ourselves in meditation, and we're like, unicorns are real. So then we just started this thing where like, first we did unicorns, we brought them through, we bought some unicorn cards, did some channeling, I made a meditation, I made an attunement. It just all came to me. Spirit was just handing it to me. And then the next month we're like, hey, let's do fairies. And then let's do, we did angel. We started with angels, went fairies, unicorns, dragons, mermaids. And then, from there, it just went crazy for me. I was like, then they were like, you have to do galactical beings now. Goddesses all came through, all these amazing goddesses. And then I had, that now it's all elementals again. So like next month is elves, it's just so funny because all the time I'm like, oh, I just saw a leprechaun. Leprechauns are a thing. Woohoo! And my friends too, this kind of stuff we talk about in Lightworkers Lab too.
You found your tribe, and you can talk about this with someone who's like, awesome, like, like, what are you talking about? So how would you describe that to someone who's new to like elementals and unicorns? Like, when you say unicorns are real, like, what do you mean by that?
Okay. I think the easiest way to think about it is you have spirit guides. You have an inner band of 5 spirit guides that like are all you. They help you all the time. One shares you. The master teacher will have you and other people. That's ascended master, but all the other 4, they're just yours. And then you have outer bands, and they can contain elementals, angels, spirit guides. The spirit guides can be anything. Elementals are like fairies, dragons, trees are elementals, dryads, nymphs, elves, giants, on and on, you know, everything you can think of. They are beings that vibrate on another frequency. So they're here, but not here. It's kind of the same as seeing spirit, someone who's passed over. They're not, it's not that they're not from, I mean, nobody's from Earth, but, you know, they're here like galactical beings. They come from somewhere. The elves and fairies, they tell me that they do have a land here, but they say it's not third dimensional, so we can't see it. But they can certainly come and talk to us like a spirit guide, or you can sometimes see them. So I used to just see them as little pricks of light, but now I see them, you know, in my mind's eye. I can see pretty much what they look like. Not all the time. Sometimes they like zoom in on their face, like, this is what I look like. But they come and I see their lights, and they help me heal. And many times when I do videos, like fairy videos, you can see the little lights. People say, oh, I saw a light. Sometimes I hear bells. I've even heard them, and they came out on the recording. I heard the bell. It's like, that wasn't me. So they're just higher vibrational. They're like spirit is there.
So would you say that they have a purpose here to help us on Earth, or are they just coexisting in a different dimension?
No, they all have a purpose. So they all are trying to help us if we want their help. And just like angels, you have to ask. They can't just come in and help you. And plus, you know, they want you to ask. They all do different things. So fairies will help you with love. They'll help you with relationships, healing. That's like their main thing. Fairies aren't like other elementals. They have egos, so they also like a gift. Something sparkly, not glitter. They want you to be environmental, like you have to be kind to children and animals, and environmental, and they'll help you. Sometimes they'll ask you to do something like pick up trash, things like that. And then sometimes they can be very, they can get mad at you, and they'll hide your keys, take something out of your dimension. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but that happens to me all the time. And it's not always because they're mad at you. It's sometimes just because they think it's a lesson you need, and they think it's funny.
A little mischievous.
So mischievous. I have so many stories of them being so mischievous.
So do you think all these elementals, are they coming forward more now with everything happening with the climate, or is there a reasoning for that?
Yes, well, we're going through this huge ascension process. So the earth is changing, we're all changing. It's time now to leave this 3D world behind. And so they're really stepping forward now. The veil's really thin. I see them a lot clearer now. And I don't think it's just because, you know, everything's getting clearer the more I do the work, but I think that they're getting clearer for everyone. Everyone's starting to see more, feel more, you know, question more. I feel people are really coming out with, I've had several people come in and say, I have these symptoms and I keep going to the doctor can't find anything wrong with me. I know there's something wrong with my heart, but the doctor can't find anything and thinks I'm crazy. And I'm like, there is something wrong with your heart chakra. Needs to be cleared. You're having a spiritual, you know, you're coming spiritual awakening. So I mean that happens a lot lately.
I see a lot on social media of people who are really confused of what's happening right now. Like on Instagram, I put a post up about recurring numbers, and it's just like everybody lost their mind. Like, tell me, like, what is this about? Like, I've been seeing these and I don't know what's happening, and I don't know what I'm being asked to do, and I don't know, like, they can feel they're being called and there's a reason for it, but they can't figure it out. And apparently it's driving a lot of people crazy. So what would be your advice to someone who is like starting to feel that pull, but they don't know what to do about it?
Usually, so I do these readings for people that help them find their light path. And I can tell you the most common thing that spirit tells them to do is to meditate, to have a session with someone, like, you know, get your chakras cleared, learn about chakras, or, you know, learn about something spiritual. Go take a class that you're drawn to. So you have a spirit guide called a doctor teacher. He's one of your inner 5 spirit guides, and he will or she will guide you on what you should do next. And that's when you hear someone tell you 3 times or 2 or 3 times about a book, and you're like, that's the 3rd time I've heard that, you know, or the book falls out on the shelf into your hand. You're like, oh, I forgot I bought this book, you know, or a class, you just keep seeing this class and you're like, maybe I need to take this class. It sounds crazy, you know? It's that kind of thing. I think we're being drawn to that. And then learning to meditate. If you cannot meditate, that's okay. I have a blog post on my website, soundwavesheal.com, where you can, tells you how to begin with meditation. And of course, guided meditations totally work. You know, in TAG, we do a guided meditation every month. It's very easy. For me, I do both, but guided meditations are awesome.
Especially for beginners, right? Because I hear a lot of people say, oh, I tried meditating, it didn't work for me. I can't just sit there and not think about like what I'm going to make for dinner or whatever. I can't quiet my thoughts. But guided meditations tell you what to focus on and help you relax and know what to do. And it's the best. That's totally my recommendation too, is guided meditation.
Yeah. And also what I talk about in the blog post is mala beads, like chanting will help clear your mind too. So before, I could never meditate. The only time I could ever meditate was at the end of yoga, and just because I'd be so exhausted. I couldn't fight with my brain, and then I would have these amazing experiences. I was like, how can I do this more, like, without sweating? And it's amazing that now I do that all the time. I remember just, wow, that was incredible. I mean, I would just, I'm such a reward person. I would go to yoga just to get that meditated state, you know, get that amazing thing that would happen to me.
Relax your body.
Yeah.
So what about sound? Like as a sound healer, are there certain sounds that you use to kind of drop in and tune into your highest self?
There are, I have a class, it's a video on my site, it's called Balance Your Chakras with Sound Healing. And there's certain sound principles of like certain words, certain notes, and how to do it even if you can't sing. So that kind of thing. Also there's light language, which is basically channeled, and it's light codes, interdimensional languages. You can speak it, sing it, play it, dance it. I mean, it's like a million things, sign it. For sound. And basically there are a lot of principles of sound. However, you don't need to even know any of them. You can just like have an intention and do it. Really.
Yeah.
But it's good to know them because they help when you need the help. But
So I want to go back to the light language piece a little bit, because if somebody's brand new and they're wondering, what is this light language? How would you like really bring back to basics and describe it? All
right. Light language is super weird because it sometimes sounds like you're speaking in tongues, which gives everyone like the religious trauma flashback. But it kind of sounds like that because it is, but you're not speaking in tongues. You're speaking in a galactical language. You're speaking in a dead language, an elfish language, you know, or you're singing it, or you're signing it, or you're drawing it, or you're dancing it, or you're drumming it. I mean, it's all different ways. So it's basically just straight channeled healing that you're bringing out. And then if you ever hear about people telling you about light codes, that's what they're doing. They're bringing it through sound. So I teach light language on Zoom because it's too embarrassing to do in person, basically, to learn, like for a beginner. It's just a 2-hour class. I do it every few months. And but it's amazing because what I find with light language is, you know, if I'm channeling light language dance, I can suddenly dance pretty well, and I really usually cannot. And people who cannot sing are channeling this like perfect singing. And I'm a voice teacher. I can tell you that is what impressed me the most. The first time I took light language, and I took it several times because I just really wanted to make sure I was doing it right. The 2 women that attuned me were singing perfectly. And I was like, if I could get my students to do what you're doing. And they said to me, we've never sung before in our lives. We have no idea what we're doing. We're just channeling it. We have no idea. And I was like, well, that alone convinces me, you know, because it was incredible. So people can sing even if they can't sing, if they're just channeling it.
I should try that because I can't really sing, and I would love to be able to sing. So.
You can sing light language. You'd be surprised. I feel like it needs to come with believing in yourself, EFT or something. I do EFT too.
So I love that you say that you just got into all this. You said you were 44.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do so many amazing, diverse things. You're talking and it's just like pouring out of you, this like joy, and it's just like streaming out of you. Like it's amazing. Like if this was a recent step in for you, like do you think you're like a conduit, or like, do you know what I mean? Like are you allowing it to flow through you, or how did it happen so quickly for you?
It was really amazing. What happened was I just dedicated myself. At the time, I didn't have very much money, but luckily my classes were not that expensive. I just kept taking classes. I just kept working on myself. I mean, that's really what we do in VIP, the tag group. It's not expensive. It's $55 a month, but you get so much. It's just so you just have to dedicate yourself to working on yourself. I spent every morning in meditation and a journal. That's another thing you can do. To keep a journal with your meditation. Write down everything that comes to you. You know, that's just getting in touch with your guides. And then that trans-channel mediumship class helped me get in touch with my guides. That was huge. So I teach that too. And I've made a more fleshed out class. And that's also on Zoom. And that class will really open you up. I mean, I started doing that. It just started coming really fast. And my other business, the voice teaching business, was sort of running itself at the time. So I had mornings free. My little boy started going to school. So I just started going crazy with it.
Awesome. So did you have those like childhood kind of fears come up? Like how was your family? Were they supportive when you stepped into it again?
Well, I kind of have a don't ask, don't tell policy.
Yeah.
As far as media goes, I'll just be like, hi, I'm a medium, whatever. But if someone I live in a really conservative town, and I know like at least one of my brothers is extremely religious. And so, I told whoever I thought would be open to it, but I didn't bother with people I thought might tell me, it's devil's work. But I did end up telling that brother, and he's cool with it. But who knows if he thinks what he thinks.
Yeah, because you can't like please everyone, right? And you can't, when you get into this stuff, you can't expect to have everyone's approval, and you don't need it. Like, in your heart what you need to do.
Yeah, it's impossible. And I mean, once you have that conversation 40 times of like, are you sure you're not channeling the devil? He's very tricky, that kind of,
He's very tricky.
Yes, I'm very sure. I'm very sure that everything I do bring through enlightens people, makes them feel good, and encourages them. So I can't imagine that is some nefarious work.
That's funny. I love that. He's tricky. Like, are you being tricked?
I know, all the time. And once you have that conversation like 40 times, you're just like, it's not even worth it. Like,
yeah.
It's okay. I'll talk to you later. Yeah. I'm sure you don't have to.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So maybe you could speak again about, so if someone's interested in connecting with you and they are really vibing with what you're sharing, like what would be the best way for someone to reach out to you or work with you?
Well, I have a website. It's soundwavesheal.com. You can find me also /soundwavesheal at Instagram, SoundCloud, and YouTube. I do a lot of free stuff on YouTube, on SoundCloud. I have a free Meet Your Joy Guide meditation. I do a lot of channeling on IGTV, on Instagram, and you can join my Sunshine Songs group in Facebook. So just you can go to soundwavesheal.com and send me a contact form. You could join my VIP group. It's for beginners. It's for advanced light workers. It is really for every step. There's a beginner's package. You could start with that on my website, or you could have a session. I have short sessions and long sessions. I have a mini session. You'd be surprised what I could do in a mini session. I have a clear session, which clears all your chakras, up to 5D chakras, and does all kinds of clearing you. If you feel like you need a quick clear, do that. So you can sign up for anything right through my website. I have a scheduling calendar, and you can join the groups, or you could just go check me out and see if you like what I do.
Yeah, lots of options. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Rachel, for speaking with us. I really loved our conversation today. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you.
All right. Well, bye, everyone. We're going to sign off. So bye, Rachel.
Bye.